everybody. We're back again for part 2 of this episode, the America Great Again episode, because we were talking about what makes America great and things that make America great, because people are out there saying, hey, we're not a great nation. We've never been great. And I remember Michelle Obama once, when Trump was running, she says, don't ever let anybody tell you that America's not great. And now the politicians are saying, oh, they're not great. So there's a lot of confusion out there with some people on what America is and how America works and constitutions and stuff like that. And what we want to focus on is continuing from the last episode about America being great. You know, America is great. And what we were talking about before is the things we've done, like landing on the moon and freeing the slaves, Martin Luther King, uniting race relations, stuff like that. It's important to think on those things because there's been some bad things in America, that's for sure, and there's bad things everywhere, but we want to be better than those things, you know? And I want to go through some things and show some things that led to America, you know? There's a long, long history of persecutions of freedoms. Now, we live under a system now of freedom where we don't have a tyrant king or pope or any type of leader that can just say that you're under arrest because someone said that you did X, Y, Z. You know, we don't have tyranny right now mostly. We do, but not the way most of society in this planet has lived it, you know. We got to consider how in history, most of the people that lived on this planet lived under a king or a pope. Right? True. Right? There's probably villages and stuff that we don't know about, or maybe in history that I haven't read about that do, but the majority of the bigger nations in Europe and stuff, someone who has a full reign and his or her word goes, and it's the new law. That's how kings reigned. And if you disobeyed or objected, you could be tortured or put to death, right? We've heard stories and we've seen shows, right? Under Queen Mary and the Pope, if you didn't agree with the Pope's message and thought for yourself, one way they would torture you is to burn your hand over a fire and call you a heretic. And they'd burn your hand in, as a warning that you better change because your behavior is unacceptable. So I'm sure those people would have loved to live in this America, where if you have a different opinion, you may have someone yell at you or put a nasty tweet out. Or if, in some cases, just move on, right? You know, in France, they would cut out the tongues or gash the faces or cleave open the heads of people. Or they would spear unarmed men and women and hurl them from the top of a wall to the rocks below, all for missing mass, church, or reading the Bible. How many of you read the Bible recently and were not thrown off a cliff or had your head gashed open, right? I'm sure those people would have loved to live in this America, right? Imagine being a French Huguenot, or basically a Protestant Christian. Because you stood for your faith, you were slowly roasted in flames. Or having soldiers hacking unarmed men and women to pieces and throwing the bodies into the river. Has anyone had that happen? No, I don't think so. And think about this roasting in flames. This is a little bit different than burning at the stake. It's more like a rotisserie, right? I'm sure those people would love to live in this America. Or Charles V. He burned, hung, or murdered more than 100,000 people for reading the Bible. I bet those 100,000 people would love to live in this America, especially where the Bible is the number one selling book, right? Just think about this stuff. Make America great again. These people suffered terrible things because they believed in Christ, and here we can do it. And we don't get persecuted the same way they do. And if we don't stand up, we could. That's my point here. You know, America's great as long as the people make it great, right? You imagine being, I'm going to probably butcher this, but Jesuit, a Christian basically in France, and having the soldiers, tired of using the sword, throw you off a cliff. Or have the women dig graves and bury them alive. Imagine that, right? Or having your mouth filled with gunpowder and your head blown off. Wow. Make America great again. Some Christians suffered having their ears, noses, hands and feet cut off, and left to die slowly. I'm sure they would love to live in this America, right? America's not perfect, but it is the greatest nation on the face of the earth. We help many people and aid many nations. A lot of nations would fail without our help, without me and your tax dollars, right? As some think America's not great now or never is great, it's important to know that millions of people suffered that led them to leave oppressive Europe and find a place to worship freely. These were the pilgrims. You know, America was a place to come and worship as you pleased. America freed slaves, and there are still slaves today in the United States. Are there still slaves today in the United States? I don't think so. Maybe you should talk to Nike, though. America provided the ability for anyone to prosper through capitalism, through a free market. That's what's so important to remember. A free market. The government doesn't get in and control everything. The people vote with their dollars, right? If we don't like certain businesses doing certain things, we don't shop there. America is still the land of opportunity. That's why so many people want to immigrate here. The stock market hit 27,000 for the first time in history. That's not great. People that have some investments in for their 401ks probably think it's great. Lots of people that invest think it's great. Get in on that, you know? Dig in. We're in a great place right now. There's vast wealth in America, and many people come here to find theirs. We love immigration. We love immigration. We just want you to do it based on the laws that are here. That's all we're saying. You know, Colin Kaepernick posted a quote from Frederick Douglass, an escaped slave turned social reformer, stating that now in America are the worst atrocities in history, implying that it's now in 2019, things are the worst for race relations ever. This is just not true. There's politicians out there talking about reparations, which you would pay off African Americans. Tax dollars would pay African Americans because their ancestors were slaves. And like if the Democrats want to do that, since they're the party of slavery, go for it. But, you know, we had a civil war. And how many people died? I dare someone to go look it up. How many American citizens died during the Civil War to free slaves? I think that's a pretty good reparations. Can't talk. You know, we're the land of equal opportunity, not outcome. That's true. You have the opportunity everyone does if you fight hard enough for it. A lot of America's millionaires come out of ghettos because they spend their early childhood on the basketball courts, and then they get accepted to a college. A lot of our NBA players came from, and NFL came from, like a ghetto or a lower income family, and they worked their way out of it. You don't get to the NFL on accident. You work hard to get there. There's only like 1,200 or something like that players in the NFL. Out of how many million people on the planet? Or even in America? How many? Well, it'd be billion on the planet, but millions in America. You know what I'm trying to say. Everybody has an opportunity. The problem is, I think, not everybody knows how to find the information. That's why I want to become a kingdom wealth builder, so that I can develop wealth and teach other people how to do it. That's what's great about America, is that we have wealthy people here that can spread and teach. In Uganda, I work for a ministry that's spreading knowledge to Uganda, and it's bringing this nation out of poverty and building businesses and helping people come out of poverty and own personal property. It's amazing to watch. It's amazing to be a part of. So my final points here. Many nations in history have been ruled by tyrants, kings, and popes, acting as the lawmaker, judge, and executioner. That's why we have separation of powers. In America, we or the citizens are in control if we use it. We don't want Venezuela as our future. We want to liberate those impoverished, right? We're creating a family, God's family. That's what he wants, is a family. That's why he created people. It's because God wanted somebody to love and someone to choose to love him in response to his love. Now is the time to take a stand. Now is the time to make our voices heard. Now. Today is the day. Now is the time. So my final question is, do you like living in this America? Thank you very much.